Good question.
Aphorism, what are we debating?
Pretty much I just had some criticisms of some of the arguments I saw in some of your videos. I think the logic doesn't really follow. And just wherever the discussion goes, I'm fine with.
Alright, great. Alright, so before we continue, we need your consent to post this debate online. Do we have your consent?
Yeah, you're doing the voice.
Yeah, we're gonna alter the voices, so we won't show the video portion, just the audio altered version of it.
Alright, cool.
I should learn how to explain that in, like, common sense English just one time. It'd be so awesome.
Awesome. Now, Professor, before we continue...
DBE, if he fucks up, please jump in and moderate.
Yep.
Alright.
You don't have to taint it from the beginning.
I like to taint it. You've already tainted all our debates.
Alright. So, now, aphorism, before we continue, is there anything you want to say?
No, I don't have anything.
Alright, so, let's get it on. What are your, disagreements?
Alright, you had a video... I think it was like a year ago. I didn't look at the post.
Hold on a second. Aphorism. Am I going to address all your points as we go down the line here? Because you got a long post in here.
Yeah, we'll just go point by point.
Okay, good. Let's do it.
Alright, so the first point, you had a video about this girl that had been apparently brutally raped. The guy had broken her ribs, and you pretty much said it was her fault that she got raped because she was in a relationship with the guy. She had stated that she did not want to have sex with the guy until marriage, and he was okay with that when the relationship started. You made several analogies to illustrate your point, saying, well, it doesn't matter what he agreed to. The intent of a relationship is the man wants sex, and so if she didn't have intended to have sex with him anytime soon, which she apparently didn't, she was just toying with male libido. She brought it on herself, and that, therefore, she should just accept the consequences of her actions, and if she's an adult, just walk away from the situation, and he walk away from the situation, and 50-50, they're done. They both got hurt.
Okay.
And you agree that's your argument.
Except there were... I think during the focus of that debate, my goal was to highlight or expose the lack of female accountability in sexual relationships or in any relationship with a male in general. So that was my main concern. Now, I think I even debated with other people about the same subject, even about the same rape debate, this particular situation with this girl. And I'm even open to the punishment as far as, where people are harping on, well, he broke the ribs and whatnot. But again, this was all precipitated because she got herself into the situation in the first place. So that's number one. I want to deal with that. After we deal with that issue, after we make women accountable, then I think we can worry about making men accountable. But right now, currently, we're only worried about making men accountable. For example, only men will be called a rapist if both people are drunk and they go home together and have sex. Only a man will be charged with rape. A woman will be completely absolved of her behavior. So, in that regard, going into the debate with that mindset, that's the reason why I said I didn't even think to charge the guy with anything further than that, or to hold him accountable for she had said her ribs were broken or some horrible consequence took place. And number one, I don't even know if that's true. Number two, again, that's taking into account that we don't even hold women accountable in this society to begin with. So this is my main argument, is that if we're not holding women accountable, then there's no reason to even consider any incidental crimes, any incidental offenses that happened as a result of the woman being irresponsible in the first place. So if we're not considering any of her accountability in the issue, then I don't give a fuck. I don't care if her head gets chopped off. If we're not holding women accountable, the problem will only get worse. So the incidental consequences that happen as a result of women not being held accountable and women being irresponsible, they won't matter. Whether she gets broken ribs, whether she gets slapped, whether she gets kicked, whether she gets decapitated, it's not going to matter, because the problem will never be fixed if you only hold men accountable. So I think some people maybe have been harping on the issue about, well, you're not addressing the broken ribs or the brutal assault part of the rape, not the literal, the fucking part, but the aftermath of it. But I am addressing it. I'm just not harping on the incidental part, which people are harping on, which is the brutality of it. Because I'm not concerned with that until women are held accountable. Until women are held accountable, none of that matters. None of that matters. Because the problem will never be solved. If the problem's never solved, if you never hold women accountable, then who cares if she gets slapped or her head gets cut off? Because it'll always be blamed on the man in either case. So it's irrelevant to me.
Well, and don't you think in this specific situation, you said it was her fault? I mean,
it is her fault.
I'm all for accountability of women. I definitely think there was some, she maybe did take the male into a situation that he probably didn't find ideal. and that's probably why you raped her, but there's definitely female accountability and there's also male accountability.
Yeah, well, the problem is there definitely isn't female accountability. In theory, women should be held accountable, but in actual practice, we don't. So to say there's definitely female accountability right now is absurd.
Well, I mean, shouldn't you focus on all accountability?
I am. I'm highlighting the fact that women aren't being held accountable. Isn't that focusing on both sides of accountability? If men are 100% accountable in any relationship, then why is there any need to even talk about male accountability? Aren't they already blamed for everything?
My point was in the situation, both parties were accountable for something.
No, she's not accountable. She doesn't even...
The female's crime
she doesn't even believe she's
that you
accountable.
addressed was that the female toyed with male libido.
Yep.
I don't think that's punishable by law. The male committed a brutal assault.
She doesn't even think she's accountable. She doesn't even think she's accountable.
I think, shouldn't anybody be accountable for brutal assault, male or woman? The female didn't commit a violent crime. She didn't
commit a crime. See, again, there you go. You proved my point for me. You don't hold her accountable for anything. So if you don't hold her accountable, it doesn't matter what the man did at that point. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the man did at that point because you're not willing to hold the woman accountable. You're a white knight.
What? No, I'm not white.
Sure you are. You don't want to hold the woman accountable.
My stance on rape is women take it too severely. Technically, I think it's just a brutal assault. It's like purely physical. I think they get emotional over it too much. But in this situation, she didn't do anything violent. He could have walked away from the relationship at any time.
Let me ask you a question. If you're playing hopscotch near a fire pit, near a barbecue pit, you're a bright guy playing hopscotch right around the ring of a barbecue pit, and the fire is roaring pretty hot, the coals are pretty hot, and you're hugging your nieces and nephews. You got children, you're holding them in your arms, just walking around the fire pit. You're just you're having a good time. Let's say you're even donating to charity. You're holding a children's charity right there. You got the greatest intentions. You have all of these kids in your arms, you just walk around the fire pit, and all of a sudden you fall in. Are people gonna go, fuck that fire pit? That fire pit was so brutal to you, it scarred your face for life, it killed the children, it started cooking off your face? Or are they gonna go, this guy's a fucking idiot, because he shouldn't have been walking around a fire pit in the first place?
Well, that analogy doesn't work, because an adult male that can give consent isn't a fire. I mean...
Wait a second. Wait a second. Are you fucking retarded? Do you know what an analogy is? Of course a man isn't a fire. That's why it's an analogy. It would be literal. If a man was a fire, he would literally be. It wouldn't be an analogy anymore.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had to mute aphorisms, Mike, because I don't want the two people talking over each other.
Yeah, this guy is saying a man isn't a fire? Are you completely fucking retarded? I'm trying to make the point that... I'm trying to make an analogous situation that if somebody is irresponsible... then their behavior falls upon them. They need to be accountable for their behavior. Same if you're wandering near a cliff and you fall off the cliff. You don't think to blame gravity because gravity is consistent in its application of punishment. It can be reasoned with. Men can be reasoned with. That's the advantage you have in dealing with men. With fire, if you fall face first in the fire, you don't get to say, fire, I've been a good person my whole life. Fire, I have good intentions. Fire, I'm behaving myself. You don't get that luxury with fire. Fire is consistent in its punishment. So when you fall face first into fire, people don't go, damn it, that fire was brutal. Or damn it, that fire was mean to you. They say, you're a fucking idiot. You should know that the consequences with fire are consistent. At least when you're dealing with men, there's a possibility of getting out of the consequence. That is the generous thing about dealing with men. So,
alright, so I'm gonna let Aphorism respond to that.
Go ahead.
Alright, can I give you a good analogy? I mean, my point isn't that analogies are all bad. My point is that you consistently make bad analogies.
Oh, great. Give me a good one.
Alright, you could talk about, like, if you're driving on the road, when you get in the car, you are engaging in a risky behavior. There's a chance that a drunk driver could hit you. There's a chance that somebody could be texting and driving and be negligent and hit you. And then you might be hit by the other driver. The fact that you were negligent and you suffer the consequences of, or the fact that you engaged in risk and you suffer the consequences of that risk doesn't mean that the other person is absolved of punishment. Another driver was still negligent or was still not capable of driving a vehicle in a way that didn't hurt you.
So, okay, you're drunk driving, you're negligent, you're swerving down the road, and then you hit another drunk driver. So, the other drunk driver is also accountable because they're drunk, but you're the one who caused the accident because you're swerving over into their lane.
Well, I don't see how that has anything to do with the analogy that I made. My
What are you talking about? I'm trying to make an analogy where the person is irresponsible. You said you were going to make an appropriate analogy. If you're not saying the person is irresponsible in their driving behavior, then you're not making a reasonable analogy. You're making a retarded analogy.
Let me ask you how retarded this is. You say a woman engaging in a relationship with a guy and tells him no sex up front.
That is negligent right at the start. That is irresponsible.
It's negligent in the sense that she's inviting rape. Do you really?
No, you moron! No, you moron!
No,
No, you moron! I already made the point in the previous debate that it's negligent to take advantage of male libido. How are you so fucking stupid you can't grasp that point? How are you so fucking dumb you can't grasp that simple point?
Could be raped as a result of taking advantage of male.
How are you so fucking dumb you can't grasp that simple point?
Hold on. I'm gonna mute Professor's mic. Aphorism, can you comment on the debate? There was a mention about male libido and how it's different from the female's libido. So his argument is, how can you discount male libido? What's your response on male libido?
Well, my response is that an adult male is still accountable for his actions. He still can consent. He isn't a fighter. He isn't a lion. He isn't a child. So the fact that the male has this sex drive doesn't matter. If he agreed to the terms of the relationship and then he violates those terms and he violates the law, then shouldn't he expect to be punished? And like the fact that the female wasn't put in jail or something on toying with male libido or something, I don't see how you can say toying with male libido is equitable to a brutal sexual assault.
Alright, I'm gonna let Professor respond.
Okay, so basically, you're saying that human life, human actions are just all derived based on free agency and decisions. Everything you do in life is just based on a decision you make. So, for instance, if you haven't eaten for 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. You're not hungry because you just decide you're not hungry. If you haven't had sex for 20 years, you're just not horny. You just choose not to be horny. You have free agency over everything. You don't think about sex at all. You don't think about porn. You don't watch porn. You don't help the billion-dollar porn industry. You don't support it by watching and buying porn in in mass quantities. When you're sleepy, you just choose not to sleep. You just don't sleep for a week. You just have that choice because none of these drives in you, none of these necessities in you that need to be addressed have any power over you. You just have free choice to ignore them. That's your claim.
It doesn't have to be my claim. Although
that is your claim. That is essentially your claim. You're saying a male libido doesn't matter, sex drive doesn't matter, it's negligent, has no bearing on the case. It's all about free choice. So if that's the case, it's all about free choice. Well, then you should just be able to supersede all your other drives.
All right, I went ahead and cut Professor Mike. You can go ahead and finish your point after.
All right, my point was whether free agency is true or not. I'm very much a determinist. I'm also like a compatibilist. I don't know how much of philosophy you do, but the point is that the male engaged in the action, not so much whether he chose to undertake it or not. The fact that he did it is what we punish him for, not the fact that he was driven to. The fact that he was driven to do it doesn't matter.
So go ahead, Professor, respond.
So you're I don't know what your philosophy is. You didn't even clarify what it is.
Well, determinism is true because we're all. The human body is just atoms behaving according to the laws of physics, so everybody is determined to do everything.
Okay, right? So then I get. So you're either contradicting yourself or you're making my case for me when you're saying you're determined by atoms. If perfect law of nature is form determines function, since necessities are the form, they determine how we behave. They're a function. So if we're hungry, we go get food by any means necessary. Sex is a need. People rape people in prison because it's such a strong need. Greek armies, they fucking take little boys and fuck them because they're away from women for so long, back in the ancient days, because, again, this need is so strong. You even have religious fanatics in the Middle East, because there's so many strict religious laws against dealing with women, and women have to be covered, they have no access to women, they start fucking kids over there. So, according to you, you're either making my case or just flat out contradicting yourself. Which is it?
No, by that logic, punishment is also technically a need, and then we could argue that, hey,
punishment is a need?
We have this drive to punish people based on the laws of physics as well. But my point
punishment is a need? How does that... Punishment is something you have to enact. It's not a need.
Well, you're enacting it just as much as you enact putting a penis in a girl.
No, because the difference is when you're hungry, your hunger is already enacted without your will. You don't have to do anything. Punishment, you physically have to make a choice to do it. You don't just punish. You don't just punish without. You can't just go. I'm punished now because I did something bad. I'm punished now. Otherwise, if you just did some bad action or illegal action, you would automatically be punished. It would just naturally happen as a consequence. But somebody has to take you to court. Somebody has to take active steps. So you're full of shit.
No, the fact that you get hungry doesn't mean that you get food. You're not automatically.
The fact that you get hungry doesn't mean you get food. So you're not driven. You're not driven by your hunger to do things. You're just.
You're motivated to do things.
Oh, you're motivated now.
You get motivated to do things.
Just like if somebody says "high five, champ," you're motivated.
Well, your brain chemistry is determined by the laws of physics. So all your drives in the human body, all your actions are the result of those laws of physics.
So great, you just made my case for me then. Form determines function. Treated. Form determines function.
Go ahead, Professor.
The male libido is the form. This is obviously why men pursue women. You see it in nature too with animals. Men pursue women because they have a strong sex drive. That's why porn is consumed in mass quantities by men. The porn industry is largely supported by men, not women. So the fact that we have this huge drive, it obviously determines how we're going to function. This is the reason why guys are always looking at hot chicks and fantasizing about fucking chicks in yoga pants. It's so blatantly obvious. This is their function. If the form is exacerbated, if the form is activated, meaning if the form is male libido, visual in nature, men already have the sex drive to seek after women, and if you exacerbate that by putting a woman out there in tight yoga pants, or who gets into a close relationship with you and is doing sexual touching, is kissing you, is holding you, is fondling you, touching your balls, your penis, activating that sexuality. So your form is being taken advantage of. So that's like that's like any physical law being activated. It's like when you throw something up, it must come down. When you have a form, because of the nature of the form, it must perform the function. The form has no choice but to perform the function. This is why good designers know that if the form isn't performing the proper function, that there's something extraneous that's wrong with that form. So they whittle it down so that form produces that one function. So the male form, the male libido, already has the function by nature of its form. It will perform that. So if men have this drive in them, the sexual nature in them that's innate to their male form, the male libido, they're obviously going to function according to that form. It's a law of nature.
All right, thanks. I'm going to mute your mic. Go ahead and aphorism. You can respond to that.
Well, I mean, clearly not all men are rapists. I mean, he's making an excuse for rape, it sounds like, by saying, oh, well, the woman just drove him to do it. And I don't even consider that an excuse. Maybe let's say the woman did drive the man to do it. She just pushed him over the edge. I say we punish people for their actions, regardless of whether they could have chosen otherwise. If the man was functionally a rapist, we punish him because we do not like rapists in our society, regardless of if he was accountable for his actions or not, regardless of if the laws of physics determined him to be that way or not.
This guy's a complete fucking idiot. He automatically, we're talking about form and function, and just like a feminist white knight little bitch, he automatically designates the function of men to be rapists. Because you have the libido that causes you to want to fuck women, you are automatically a rapist. And then he goes on this political spiel. He doesn't even answer the argument. That's how fucking fraudulent and intellectually dishonest feminists are. They always duck challenges. Faggots like you online are such cowards. I hate talking to faggots like you. I hate talking to faggots like you because you're pseudo-intellectual retards. You're too fucking dumb to debate me because you're too much of a coward to even answer my challenges. I am thoughtfully and rationally and reasonably... Blue, can you mute this faggot? Can you mute this faggot while I'm making a point? Mute this fucking idiot. I can't stand these dishonest faggots. He's chuckling like a fucking retard, and he's too fucking stupid to even realize how stupid he sounds. And I'm arguing with him in good faith. I'm not trying to say, oh, how dare you even come here? I'm inviting you fucking cowards to expose you. I'm arguing in good faith. This is how a person honestly approaches an intellectual discussion. They address the challenges. They try to reason their view and apply their view so that the entire audience who is scrutinizing this can rationalize and reason and follow along with them. Sure, I'm frustrated. I call you a fucking idiot, but I'm not just using some ad hominems like you little butthurt feminist claim. For each so-called insult I'm lobbing at you, I am making my case reasonably. I am showing cause, which you fucking retards always fail to do. You think that laughter, you think your faggot giggling is an argument. You think your butthurt, self-righteous indignation is an argument. You're a fucking retard. You're a moron. I wouldn't even spit on you in the street. You're so fucking dumb. This is like arguing with a little baby. I am making the case rationally, and I'm putting challenges to you, which you are easily ducking, as I just showed. I talked about form equaling function. I took your argument. I'm not a coward. I addressed your argument reasonably. All you did with my argument, with my challenge, when I gave you form equals function, which is a principle of universal law of nature, all designers know this, all you did was jump in your feminist tiny pea brain to, that means you're advocating rape. Do you see how fucking stupid you sound? When I talk about form equals function, the male libido drives men to have sex. Now, from that statement alone, now they're rape apologists. You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. And I just proved it. Go ahead.
I'm going to allow aphorism to respond. So, aphorism, can you respond on you ducking a claim?
I don't think I ducked the claim, but if you want to talk about form versus function, I mean, it was a rape apology.
You wear me out. I'll be right back. I gotta get another one.
But as far as if he wants to say, oh, a guy's meant to have sex, I don't see how that relates to the original claim of not wanting to punish a rapist because the female isn't accountable for toying with male libido. I still don't see how it's criminal, even close to the degree, or even at all, to toy with male libido. And the reason I'm laughing is because I find you silly.
Well, you're a fucking idiot. What do you want me to do? What do you expect me to do? I'm arguing with a child. What do you want me to do? I'm not giggling at you. I'm frustrated with you. Look, I'm not giggling at you. I'm frustrated with you. You're such a fucking idiot. It's a waste of my time. You're too dumb to be arguing with me. There's no reason for me to laugh at you. There's no reason for me to laugh at you. You're a fucking idiot, and there's no reason for me to laugh at you. It's a waste of my time. You're so dumb. You're so dumb. You're so cowardly. You can't answer any of my challenges. You're a fucking idiot. You're frustrating. You're not a laugh track for me. I'm just wasting my time.
Alright, go ahead, Aphorism. You can respond.
I mean, I don't see what challenge he really provided me. I offer the challenge here. I'm saying, why do you equate toying with male libido to rape or to the brutal?
Why do I equate to rape? I didn't equate to rape. You did, you dumb fucker.
No, you did, because you said that both of them should go to jail, or she should be.
I'm ready to go to the audience. This guy's a fucking idiot and a coward, Blue. I'm ready to rest my case. I've already rested my case. This guy's a fucking idiot.
Alright, so I'm muting everyone's mic, so Professor is resting his case.
This guy's a fucking idiot. He can't even follow a simple analogy. I was kind enough to answer his challenge. I did it in good faith. He can't answer mine. He just fucking made this leap of logic. Used his little giggle power, and now he's done.
Alright, so I'm gonna mute your mic as well. So now we're going to go to audience reactions. So, let's go to 18.
I thought this debate was going to be a lot more exciting because I saw what Aphorism wrote, and I was like, oh, sweet, a lot of points, a lot of interesting things. This is probably going to go really in depth. And really, like, it's going to be an intense debate. But I feel like Aphorism is ducking the challenges. I feel like he's not responding to what Professor is saying and just jumping back to his point. Like the whole thing about
we'd have a better debate if you just read it out. I just answered that.
So I wish he'd stick to what Professor said and answer that.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go to Payson.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever Professor starts calling these people names, and I see their reaction, like, this guy starts laughing, ha 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 ha, and it honestly looks like Professor's losing, because it looks like the other guy's unaffected by what he says. But then I thought about how Professor does have a reason to be frustrated with this guy, because Professor explained the whole form and function thing, a very reasonable argument, and this guy, instead of saying, oh, no, you're wrong here, function is not this, form is not this, blah, 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 he's just like, oh, you're a rape apologist. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. So, that was my claim. This guy doesn't make any sense.
Alright, it doesn't make any sense. Thank you for your critique. Let's go to Death by Porn.
I like how this faggot was laughing at Payson while he's giving the argument.
This guy's fucking retarded. Professor made a completely reasonable point talking about how men have a sex drive. They are driven to have sex. Just like if you're hungry and you're going to be driven to eat food. If you're starving and somebody, comes up to you with a bunch of food and then, just like a bunch of food and starts waving it in front of you, I mean, are you just going to sit there and control yourself? You're just going to sit there and control yourself even though you're starving, you haven't had anything to eat for 4 or 5 days? No, you're going to take the fucking food. And people wouldn't blame you for that. But when it comes to the male sex drive, all of a sudden, we start backpedaling, and then you start saying, oh, so because you have this sex drive, now you're a rape apologist? This guy makes no fucking sense. He completely ignored Professor's challenge when it came to male libido, and he just said, well, I don't think all men are rapists. What the fuck how did you get male libido to him apologizing for rapists? You didn't make that connection at all. So, you're a fucking idiot, and I'm glad this debate's over, because I did not want to listen to an hour and a half of your bullshit.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go to, Bro Coolseth.
Dude, aphorism. It was kind of painful to listen to you talk, man. Or, you could see when Professor was making points, you started, going back and forth in your chair, and then you're, laughing. Those are all signs of you not wanting to take accountability and refute his direct claim that he's making. So, it was frustrating because he makes this point about necessity and having a sex drive, and then you just go to, all men are rapists. That doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. Talk about the underlying point of what he was making. This is one of the worst debates I've been to. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Let's go to a new face. Haven't seen this guy before. Pencil Stash. Your reaction?
I didn't understand what he meant by rape apologist. He threw out that term a few times.
Do you mind if you speak closer to the mic because we can't hear you?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't understand what aphorism meant by.
You're gonna have to yell, or because you're coming in pretty muted, so pretty soft. So
Okay,
Yeah.
I need him to explain what he meant by rape apologist.
okay, so you didn't understand what he meant by that.
Yeah, I don't know. I need a definition what he meant by that.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure we're not gonna get the definition. So let's go to Snaky Guy.
I hated this debate. I think this is like the second worst debate I've been to. Aphorism. You're like, well, as soon as you said it doesn't matter if they're accountable for it or not, we're going to punish them anyway. Like, this guy's you're a fucking retard. You never answered any points.
You have a shitty mic. Can you turn off your video so that way we can hear you? No, I guess we're gonna have to go to someone else. All right, let's go to Pinata. Can you talk? No, Pinata can't talk. All right, let's go to Puppy Cat.
I want to draw back to what Brute Cool Stuff was saying. I was just interested in watching this guy, the way he was reacting to the professor's reasoned argument. Like Brute Cool Stuff was saying, he was shuckling back and forth, showing he was so nervous. He was doing a defensive giggle laughter. It seemed childish to me that he couldn't use his words in a reasoned argument to come back and state a reason why he didn't think the professor's argument was correct. Instead, he resorted to just giggling, and it was completely unenjoyable. This is the worst debate I've ever been at.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go to Track Slayer. And let me mute Marlo's mic. All right, yeah, go ahead, Track Slayer. Wait, there's a background noise, and whose background noise is that?
Pinata.
Might be me. I think it's Pinata.
Oh, Pinata. I'm gonna have to mute you. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right, Track Slayer, you're up.
Very confused. I felt very lost. You kept on ducking every challenge the professor kept on making. Like, every reasonable thought he had. Like, I'm just very frustrated just how you can just duck so many claims.
All right. Let's go to Skyfall. I wish you guys had more of a reaction, though. Skyfall.
I thought the most amazing thing was when the challenger, towards the end, right before the professor cut off the debate, he went back to talking about, I don't see how you can equate a brutal rape, with broken ribs. And meanwhile, the professor had explained the whole concept of that. That's not the main issue. That's not the point that we're talking about. But because this guy is such a chick in his thinking, he can't even see past that. He just keeps looking at the little nitpicky details and just avoiding the main content of the argument. So I don't like it. That's my reaction.
Alright, let's go to Handy Joy Balls.
Yeah, pretty much what Skyfall said. And the fact that aphorism, you giggled while, he was giving you a rational argument. You were just giggling, and that just shows how much of a coward you are. That you don't even have an argument back. You were just laughing and giggling, and you just had nothing to say. Honestly, it just shows how much of a weak spot you're in. It's bad. So yeah, that's my reaction.
Alright, let's go to Danilorth.
People say they didn't like this debate, but I really liked listening to Professor explaining.
Hey, Blue, can I go? I have a chance to go now.
Shut up. Alright, go ahead, Danilorth.
Okay, I don't agree with people and with the Naked Guy and Brokosef when they say that this hangout was boring, because I really enjoyed listening to Professor talking about form and necessity again. But as far as the content of it, I want to just say to aphorism, how is your relationship going, aphorism? I don't think your views are helping you get your relationship needs met. I think you should drop down this attitude and realize that what you've been doing now hasn't been working for you.
Alright, I would say let's stick with the reactions. Thank you, Danilorth. Let's go to 505.
Let's see, I have to go last. I pretty much have nothing to say. This was pretty fucking boring, and most of the points we already went over in the debates. I remember being a man-child, we talked about whether we have control over our actions or not, and this just seemed like a rehash of everything. That's all.
Alright, thanks. Let's go to, Pinata, hopefully your mic doesn't come in too loud. So, what's your reaction?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at how a professor's able to put the points together for someone.
I'm muting your mic because you're coming in too loud, so you're gonna have to like put the microphone away from your lips or lower the mic volume somehow. So I'm gonna unmute your mic and go ahead and say something.
What about now?
Good. That's better.
I'm always amazed and pleased by how Professor puts his points together. It's like he's connecting the dots for me, and I feel like a child connecting dots on a piece of paper. And I'm always frustrated at how the debaters or the challengers can't grasp that, and they're led by their emotions, just like this guy is. I didn't hear the whole debate, but I heard when Professor explained how function drives behavior, and this guy wasn't able to get that. And I'm thinking, how the fuck does this guy not get it? Obviously, if a lion is hungry and you put meat in front of him, if he's deprived of food, he's going to want to eat. If men in jails have sex with other males because they're being deprived of sex, that just further shows their function, that sex for men is a necessity. But the vilification of the male libido is what I think makes this guy think like such a fucking chick. He doesn't understand that there are certain necessities that people need. But because he's probably been brainwashed by the feminist agenda, this guy thinks that, oh, well, if guys can't keep it in their pants, then they're fags. I only have one thing to say to that guy. Fuck you, bro. You're a fucking idiot. Thank you.
Alright, now I'm gonna unmute Professor and unmute Aphorism.
I don't think 18 went.
Oh, no, did 18 go? I don't think 18 could have. Wait, can you go?
I went first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you went first, yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna let Aphorism. Do you have any last remarks?
Yes, I'm hearing an echo. Do you hear the echo?
I don't hear the echo.
Sounds okay here.
Alright.
Unfortunately.
Well, I posted several points. It's a shame that Professor ducked out.
Oh, I ducked out. Yeah, I gave you all the challenges and yet I ducked out. I gave you challenges that you didn't address and I ducked out? Fuck you. You're a coward.
My point here was you consistently make bad argument. Your analogies don't work. Your logic doesn't follow. Your form versus function didn't even follow. I was talking about how you were blaming a woman who had brutally raped and equating it to... You were equating it to toying with male libido. And you were just like, oh, males have libidos. So does the female. Female has sex drive. So.
Alright, thank you for that. Professor, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute your mic. And,
same stupid argument. That's how dumb this guy is. He just repeated his argument. He says, I ducked the challenges. This guy's a fucking idiot. He completely ignored, this is just a hallmark of how stupid this guy is. He completely ignored the entire audience reaction, which was on my side during this debate. He completely ignored the entire audience reaction. So basically he's saying the audience is equally retarded and just can't follow a reasonable point. He's a fucking idiot. We proved it. The audience saw it. I think anybody who watches this will be frustrated and annoyed with this fucking retard.
Right, we'll have the public scrutiny so that people on the internet can chime in and talk about their opinions on this debate. So, without further ado, I'd like to say thank you for another fabulous episode of Manhood Academy Debates. We'll see you next time.
Okay, so we just finished debating this dickhead, and we're going to cover this post here. Since he was too incomprehensible and couldn't put together a coherent point, let's try to address this and cover any remaining points that we didn't cover in the debate, because I couldn't debate that piece of shit. He was too cowardly to even address our challenges. So let's cover all the flaws in his argumentation here. Okay, so where do we leave off?
You state that her irresponsibility for creating this relationship with the man. This is, by the way, he's referring to a debate where we blamed the woman for getting into a relationship with a man.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
No, but
No, the audience doesn't, you asshole.
about. Oh, okay.
We're podcasting, Snaky Guy. Wake up.
Okay, the audience doesn't know that, and we made an analogy how it's like entering a relationship in a man entering a relationship as a woman, entering a relationship with a man and not having sex is equivalent to throwing steak in front of a lion or holding steak in front of a lion without being ready to feed it to him. And that's the analogy he's taking issue with in this paragraph. Now that we got that out of the way, I'll finish the paragraph. You state that her irresponsibility for creating this relationship with the man and engaging in sexual foreplay type of behaviors with him, like kissing and wearing risque clothing, as reasons for why she bears blame. You state that it is analogous to waving a steak in front of a lion and expecting him not to eat it, or putting a candy in front of a child and expecting him not to eat it. The analogies you made are generally weak because an adult male is not a lion or a child. He understands the concept of consent and is accountable for his actions. Lions and children, not so much.
Okay, so let's cover what we just talked about up here. Okay. So we talked about the the nature of the two differing libidos. Number one, one of the problems arises if you make the argument that women and men should, since women can control themselves, men should be able to control themselves too. Women are able to control their libido on a date, so of course men should be able to control their libido on a date. But this false equivalency completely negates the differences in biology, the difference in sexual drives between male and female. This is why men chase. This is why men chase after women. This is why men try to woo women. This is why men propose. They get down on one knee. They're trying to get a woman into a relationship with them. This is why men buy fleshlights. This is why men, you stick your cock in a flashlight-shaped container to beat off. This is why men design real dolls to fuck. This is why men design blow-up dolls. This is why men consume the majority of porn. It's a billion-dollar industry. This is why men fantasize about fucking girls in yoga pants. This is why men buy prostitutes. By and large, the prostitution supported by men. You don't see a lot of male prostitutes. There's a reason for that. Because males are supposed to initiate to turn women on. It doesn't happen the other way. It can happen the other way around, but that's an abnormal situation. Typically, it's the man who causes the arousal. The woman's sexuality reacts to the male's initiation. Women can just show their body off. That's just enough, and a man will approach her. Whereas men just can't stand on the corner and women are going to pay money for them to have sex with them. It does not work that way. Otherwise, there would be just as many male prostitutes as female prostitutes. So many ways and in so many effects in society, we see that male libido is so much greater than female libido. And
I think I heard a great quote from you. You said this was the difference between male and female sexuality. You have to give a woman a reason to fuck, but you have to give a guy a reason not to fuck.
Oh, that's perfect.
I think that particularly encapsulates it.
So true. So, number one, you see the difference in libido. That's number one. You have to recognize that men have by far the greater libido. And I know feminists like to tell women, oh, you're just as sexual as a man, and women like to think they are, but it's complete and utter bullshit. Like, even if you just lined up, if you had a sign on a house, just a regular looking guy, and he said free sex, sign outside his door, and you had a fat chick, and the fat chick put free sex outside her door, there would be a line outside the fat chick's door. There would be no line outside the guy's door. Just to show you that, just to get that need met, guys will fuck fat chicks. Chicks they don't want to be in relationships with. Chicks they don't want to be seen with in public. Just to get that sexual need met.
Yep.
So, men have the greater libido. And now, we're saying that, he's trying to say that because men have a choice, that their choice supersedes their needs.
I think that's really an unfair claim because it's essentially like you're saying, a woman should be able to get in a relationship with me and not have sex. She should be able to dress like a slut, turn me on, get me interested, and not give me sex. And I'm supposed to just control my urges, control my libido, restrict my necessity, instead of her just covering up, instead of her just not getting into a relationship until she's ready to have sex.
Let's say she's totally irresponsible, though, just for argument's sake.
Yes, okay.
Just to play devil's advocate. What makes your needs so great that you have to fuck? That you have to have sex?
What makes my needs so great that I have to have sex?
Other than the fact that the entire species will die out if you have sex. If you don't have sex.
That's like asking me why I'm driven to eat food or why I'm driven to breathe. It's
always there.
It's not like I'm gonna look at a chick and I'm gonna it's not like I can just look at a chick and just divorce my need. If she's hot, if she has a nice ass, if she has nice tits, sexual thoughts are going to go through my brain. I'm going to want to fuck her. It's not like I can turn that off.
Now let me ask you a question. If a girl's wearing a potato sack, right? All you can see is her head. She's just wearing a potato sack, no form or shape. You can't see her shape. You can just see her head. Will that turn you on more or less than if she just shows up naked?
Less.
A lot less.
A lot less?
A lot, way less.
So you're saying your sexuality, your libido, is activated by visual stimulation, by seeing a woman's body naked?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, so this is obviously we all know this is guys seeing naked women. We always try to get a peek. I mean, how many ways? I mean, there's guys in Japan have cameras, where they just wait under escalators to get a peek of women's panties. So many people, when you're a kid, you try to put a mirror on your foot to look up a girl's skirt, or you try to creep under a desk while you're in class to view a girl's panties. I remember me and my friends in 5th grade, we would drop pencils just so we could see this hot chick's there was this chick Miranda who sat behind us 2 rows, and she was wearing a skirt, and we'd always drop our pencil to see up her skirt. I mean, guys are always trying to get a look at legs, at tits. I mean, how many times do we see tits and we try to get a better angle of them? Or we see a great ass, and don't we whip our head to keep looking at it?
Yep.
Do we whip our head if the ass is covered? We can't even see anything. There's no point in looking. But if we could see somebody in tight yoga pants, don't we try to go, ooh, let's get a closer look at that?
Yeah.
That immediately activates...
Your head's on swivel.
Your head's on a swivel. Exactly. So even more so when women are irresponsible with their sexuality. This is the point the guy's not getting. But he's saying that you can overcome this need. You can overcome this need, that this need is really just an option. It's not really a need. That's like saying, the problem here is, we know it's a need because any need that is not addressed will result in death. You don't drink, you'll die. You don't breathe, you'll die. You don't eat, you'll die. You don't sleep, you'll die. You don't fuck, you'll die. Right? It'll just result in the extinction of the species. So we definitely know it's a need. But his problem is, he's not understanding the difference between holding your breath for 30 seconds and holding your breath for 5 minutes. Not eating for a day and not eating for 2 weeks. Not taking a drink of water for, an hour and not taking a drink of water for an entire week. Sure, you can overcome a need if it's not exacerbated, like if your sexual need isn't exacerbated by seeing women scantily clad and wearing nothing around when they're walking around in society, or you're not a starving guy and sitting in front of steak. You can resist your need for a short time, but not forever.
Yes.
Not forever. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a need. Needs are the things that determine everything we do. I mean, think about everything we do in life. What do we do in life? Tell me what you do in your day, in a general way. You don't have to identify everything specifically. Just tell me what you do in your life in a general way.
Eat food, drink water. When I'm not doing that, meeting those basic necessities, I'm looking to be entertained, looking to get stimulation, whether it's watching something on Netflix, whether it's talking to people, whether it's learning from other people, learning from somebody I respect.
Right. So we have a primary need to get into relationships. Everything is for that primary need. And then we have all these incidental needs, which are subordinate to that primary need. For example, we eat food, but we don't eat food just for the sake of eating food. Because if all we did was just breathe air, drink water, and eat food, we could live, we could survive. If we had a home, we could just live in it.
We wouldn't want to live because we'd be so depressed.
We would be depressed. We would go insane. People call it cabin fever. Even people call it cruel and unusual punishment when you put prisoners in isolation away from other people. Why is that such a torturous thing? Because a relationship is a necessity. And if people are deprived of relationships, it's like depriving them of food and water. You can only go for a short amount of time, and eventually you crack. You die. So either psychologically you snap, or physically you get depressed, and it just affects your entire function, even your physical functioning.
You stop eating, you want to die, eventually you may go so far as just end your life.
There you go. It's like when you lose relationships with people that you love. Fathers die, mothers die, close loved ones die. You don't want to eat. You don't want to go on living. Why? Because these relationships are a necessity. Any necessity that's not addressed results in death. So all these other incidental necessities and all the other things we do are geared towards meeting this relationship need, even the sexual need. We don't even just want sex outside of a relationship, because when guys masturbate, they can see a hot chick or think about a chick in class or watch porn, what have you. But when they're done, they feel disgusted. They feel ashamed. They're like, oh, why am I fucking watching this? Why am I beating off right now? But that sexual need is for a relationship, because they want to have sex with a chick they actually like, that they're in love with, that they want to spend time with, not with just a chick who turns them on temporarily. For instance, you can even get turned on by a fat chick if you're desperate enough. If you just see a nice ass. I mean, you can see a chick, we call them butter faces. They just have ugly faces, but they have hot bodies. If you see a chick with a hot enough body, you'll want to fucking fuck the shit out of her or beat off. And after you do that, do you think, oh, I can't wait to spend time with her?
No, you're like, why the fuck did I do that?
You're like, why
do I do that? I mean, I've watched porn, and as soon as I'm done, I'm like, that's pretty gross. Why am I watching this?
Yeah, why am I watching this? So that says even the sexual need is subordinate to the relationship we need. That means we want to have sex, we want this need fulfilled, but we want it to be fulfilled by someone we're in a relationship with. Now, what he's saying is, do we cover that argument then? That we're not a lion in that we can decide to do things, but one thing we can't do forever is decide to ignore our necessities. simply
I think we
not
answered that
possible.
pretty well.
Yeah, we've covered that.
Okay. Anything else here? Let's see. So the next one is, you then establish a false dichotomy with women you are speaking with, claim that she must bear 50% accountability for being involved in a relationship, and with her being brutally raped. We already covered that. We covered that. Blaming the victim. Why not blame men who are falsely accused of rape that you mentioned earlier in the conversation? Did we cover this one?
Also, while you're in the business of blaming the victim, why not blame the man? No, I don't think we did.
Okay. And I like how he calls her the victim. Again, he says, I'm in favor of accountability for men and women, but he calls her the victim, as if she has no part. This is feminist ideology.
Yeah.
This guy's
And
definitely...
if you look in the paragraph above that, it's like, certainly the woman you spoke of put herself in a dangerous situation and bears some of the responsibility.
So if she bears the responsibility, like, if she sets her hand on fire, how can you call her a victim of being in a tragic fire? Didn't she... If you pour gasoline on yourself and set yourself on fire, are you accountable for doing that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Should I call you a victim? Should I call you I'm sorry. Me? No, I called you. You confused me. Not me. You. Are you a victim?
No, I'm an idiot.
Right. It's your fault. So I can't call you a victim. I can't say, sorry, you're a victim. It's out of your control. Something happened to you. No, you did it to yourself. That's the whole reason why you even bear accountability in the first place. So how can this guy make this argument that women are somewhat accountable and yet refer to them as victims? It's either one or the other, and this faggot can't decide. Why not blame the men who are falsely accused of rape that you mentioned earlier in the conversation? Certainly some of them were irresponsible to some degree.
How were they irresponsible? I understand, it's one, a lot of these false rape accusations, the guys, it's because they didn't, they'll get falsely accused of rape because they didn't, give this chick, they didn't give her a pass on a parking ticket. Or because they didn't do some other ridiculous favor. Chicks make up all kinds of bullshit, like they didn't want to get yelled at for being late for work or late for school, so they say, "Oh, I was raped," and then they blame some guy they saw on the street.
Right.
So, is he saying that men just shouldn't go outside now because women are there and they could?
I don't understand how he's making a parallel argument here. He's saying, also, while you're in the business of blaming the victim, why not blame the men who are falsely accused of rape?
I think what he's trying to say is, if a guy has sex with a girl, and it's just a one-night stand or something, she's like, oh, he raped me. Well, it's your fault for having sex with her.
Okay, so your fault for having sex with her. All right. The difference is she's not falsely accusing you to address a sexual need. She's falsely accusing you so she doesn't feel bad about herself. She doesn't feel guilty about her behavior. It seems like it's a different justification.
Yeah,
because
the first one, when a guy is driven by his necessities, whereas this one is just a woman soothing her self-esteem.
Yeah, there's not a need to falsely accuse people or lie. It's just, well, I don't want to feel bad or I want something.
Yeah, we just posted a story today of some chick who was late to work, didn't want to either feel bad or get fired or whatnot, and so she said she was falsely accused of rape. Is that the boss's fault for creating the business, or
it's the traffic's fault for making her late?
Traffic's fault for making her late? I mean, in that case, by his logic, she's the victim and the entire universe is against her, is the perpetrator. It's her parents' fault for making her, for fucking and creating her as a baby so she had to go to work. She's an eternal victim. So if you're going to go that far, we got to make your logic consistent and blame the entire universe. She's the epitome of the victim, and everybody else is the perpetrator. Under that logic, certainly some of them were responsible to some degree. Okay. In the above video, you debate the merits of women being involved in both physical and mental leadership roles. You begin discussing physical roles and claim that women should not be firefighters because they receive affirmative action and have lower job requirements than men. You go on to say that even if these were women that could meet their minimum requirements, that they should be barred from employment because even if they were the strongest woman alive, there are stronger men out there for the job. As much as you harp on about function in some of these videos, why would we care about the gender of a worker based on some generalities one can make about men relative to women? What do you mean relative to women, you fucking idiot? Isn't it obvious, from an early age when you're wrestling women and fighting against women, even in high school basketball teams could beat professional NBA, WNBA teams. Average guys can out-wrestle the strongest woman in the world. So, it's not like we're just like a small margin of strength. Men are dramatically stronger than women.
Yeah, it's a waste of resources to even give them the position, give them the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, why would we waste our time and endanger people, endanger their lives just so women could feel good about herself.
You're trained to get there. Like, how many hours does a girl have to spend to get to where I just kind of naturally get being a guy?
Yeah.
Why does she have to spend hours training when she could be using her capacity towards her function, being a woman, taking care of children?
Yeah, she's the only one with the fucking womb. I don't have a womb. Sure, I could be hired as a surrogate mom, a stay-at-home dad taking care of children, but it's almost a waste of my function. All my abilities, all my strength and capacity. Men are so much smarter than women. Men are so much stronger than women. It's a complete waste of capacity.
Yep.
As much as you.
I could stay at home and cook, but why would I do that when I'm much more suited to? When I can handle more demands on the job, I can make more money because I have more mental capacity, more physical capacity, and I can bring home the bacon.
Especially if you're forming a relationship with a woman, because we're not trying to be adversaries of women. We're not trying to compete against women, which is what society is today under feminism. We're trying to get men and women together into relationships. And if that is the case, then doesn't it bode well for you? Doesn't it behoove you to want to use your gender functions, your differing gender functions to their fullest capacity to benefit the relationship that both of you are in?
Instead of selfishly just trying to feed your own ego saying, oh, I can do what a man can do.
Yeah, I can do what a man can do. But a man is better suited to do that job because of his gender function. Shouldn't he be doing that job so it benefits the relationship?
Yep.
Snaky guy? I'm asking you that question.
You're asking me? Yeah.
All right, well.
And the fact that they're prioritizing their self-esteem over what's good for the relationship only adds further credence to the argument that they shouldn't be in charge. Because as a leader, you shouldn't be putting your ego before the needs of the relationship. That comes second to the necessities of the relationship. If all you care about is just like saying, "Oh, I'm just as good as this person," that's competition. That's not a relationship.
That's a shallow, petty. That's a shallow, petty motivation to feel good about yourself at the cost of somebody else's life if you can't lift them out of a fire because you're too weak.
Well, I think part of it's like, if I'm a guy, so I'm naturally going to be stronger, smarter. It doesn't make me better. It just means, okay, I have a different function. I have a different
This is exactly what this moron doesn't understand. We're not saying women shouldn't be firefighters because we're better than them. We're saying women shouldn't be firefighters because it's not good for the relationship dynamic. It's not good for the complementary natures of both men and women.
It's interesting that guys like this are so self-righteous when it comes to defending women and defending their self-worth, when they're actually undermining women's self-worth, because they're saying, you can't be a woman. You have to be like a man. You have to be as strong as a man. You should be as smart as a man. Instead of saying, be a woman. Do what's suited to your function.
Yeah, they're basically saying what there's a common complaint from housewives is that feminists denigrate them and look down on them because they say you're only a housewife, as if it's a dishonorable role to be a woman, as if caring for children and fulfilling your female function is a bad thing, is a disgraceful thing. That is the disgusting irony here. This guy is trying to say, oh, women should be allowed in the fire department, meaning she shouldn't care about her own female function. It's not worth caring about. It's below her. It's beneath her. He's denigrating women. He's putting women below him.
Yeah, he's saying, of all the talk of us being chauvinists, he's the chauvinist. He's saying their function, don't worry about that. Try to become a man instead.
Yeah, you're saying your function isn't worth attention.
Yep.
Such a brilliant argument out of you, DB. So I knew you were here for a reason.
I'll be right back real quick.
Okay, it's you and me, Snake Guy. Don't fuck up. All right, where are we? As we harp on function, we did that one. You then go on to say that women should not be in leadership roles and cite that they are intellectually inferior to men. Yes, who created everything in history, Snaky Guy?
Men.
What about ABC blocks?
Got me.
Women.
Women made ABC blocks.
Yeah, you fucked up again. You claim a high divorce rate and a number of other societal problems are the result of women leading men, but didn't substantiate the vague assertion at all. Actually, we did, you fucking moron. It's called our ebook, The Principles That Govern Social Interaction. And our entire site, for that matter, and all our podcasts and classes. That's all we do is substantiate our claims, you fucking idiots. In fact, we substantiate our claims around the fucking goddamn world. Regardless of all cultures. In spite of different cultures, we're substantiating our claims.
And you can see countries with a lot of feminism, countries with a really high divorce rate.
Fuck. Which one was... I forget which one was it. Sweden was leading the top of the divorce rate. I forget which one it was. One of those feminist countries.
Sweden.
All the progressive liberals beat off to. All the feminists beat off to. It's so great, yet they have the highest divorce rate.
Yeah, Sweden with their new gender pronouns and gender-neutral schools.
Gender-neutral schools. You can't call anybody he or she. They have to be pal or friend.
Pal or friend.
You're my pal.
Which paragraph are you guys reading? I just came back.
We're talking about the androgynous pals here. We're on this one right here.
You then go on to say that women should not be in leadership roles except they're intellectually inferior to men. You claim the high divorce rate and number of result of women leading men, but didn't substantiate the vague assertion at all. The best that you said for those women leading men was unnatural. You then berate the guy debating. Okay, I mean, how aren't men more intelligent than women? Who maintains... The irony is he's using a computer invented by men. He's fucking using an internet connection that is fiber optically connected throughout the entire world.
By the way, this stupid faggot doesn't even acknowledge that men are doing all the hard science classes. They always complain that it's like an anomaly if they see a woman in there. They all are like, oh, that's a woman. I got her first. I got dibs. Because there's no fucking women in those hard science classes. In computer IT courses.
Classes. I took it personally.
What'd you take?
Petroleum engineering.
Petroleum engineering, okay.
The intro course.
Mm-hmm.
Engineering research.
All chicks, all supermodels, all Victoria's Secret models.
Of the 50 girls, there were 3. And I think 2 of them dropped it.
Well, there's still 1. That's 1%.
And that was the intro course to petroleum engineering.
Yeah, the intro course.
Yeah, if we want to have equality, we should force women. We should force 50% of the class to be women. Imagine how fucking rad it would be if we just said, okay, we're going to do it the feminist way. Coal mines, 50% women. Petroleum engineering, 50% women. Computer courses, 50% women. I mean, imagine how women would feel having to be forced to take all the courses. Plumbers, 50% women. You want to drain all the shit out of the toilet? 50% women. Roofers, construction workers, you gotta work on the most dangerous jobs? 50% women. Let's get that death toll up there. Since all 98% of fatalities at work or the workplace are men, let's get some women up there. Let's make it 50-50.
About that inequality. That's what's interesting. They complain about the 75 cents on every dollar the man makes versus 98% death. Isn't the 98% death on the job a greater, more evil inequality than 75% of it?
Seems like they're saying a man's life is worth extra 30 cents? 30 some odd cents? 20 some odd cents?
Yep, 25 cents. It's like how can you ignore a statistic like that? 98% death. And it's like, oh yeah, well, 98% of you die in the job, or 98% of the deaths are you guys, but you make 25 cents more than us for every dollar. I mean, how petty do you have to be to just ignore?
Well, that's exactly like this guy. He ignores all the challenges. Yeah. This is just feminist ideology. Debating this guy was such a chore. Okay, then you berate the guy debating with you as incompetent and not able to understand facts or reason because he's been beaten down by feminist education. Like this guy. When you had the burden of proof here and did nothing to prove it. That just shows how fucking dumb you are. Or even philosophically explain why it was so wrong. I mean, just the absurd lies here. They're so easily counteracted by all the information on our site. I feel like this debate was a farce. It's just an embarrassment to...
Yeah, sounds like he just listened to someone's shitty explanation of the podcast.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's obvious that we put so much evidence out there all the time whenever we make points because we have faggots like this coming at us and want us to justify ourselves. We over-justify ourselves. We make every good faith effort to prove our points. And these fucking lying sack of shits come over here not even educating themselves with our site. I mean, they probably just read feminist memes about our site. Another humorous point I took away from this video is that you claim men are held back by an education system geared towards females and run by females, but then state that in the past, if women were good enough, they could have invented, created, and contributed to society in spite of the feminist contention that they were being held back by male-dominated society. Yeah, you fucking idiot. Men created the educational system, but then because men were irresponsible and they didn't take care of women in relationships, and now we have a lot of single mothers. Also, wartime events when World War I, World War II, when you lost heads of families, you lost men as the head of families, and you put women in charge. Whatever the abnormal social situation was, men were being raised by women. So you're a faggot because you're raised by a single mother, and now you think like a woman. You're emotional and you think like a woman. You're unable to reason.
It was one of two things when men were raised by women. It was either A, their husbands died in war and they raised their sons, and the sons, the women tried their best, but they didn't know how to raise their sons and teach them to be disciplined. Or two, the men they were in relationships with fucked them and dumped them, left them pregnant, and then they're like, well, fuck this guy. I hate men now, and whether she intends or not, that's going to be rated how she raised her son. So in either case, you're getting the angines.
So we got emasculated men who are doing poorly in schools, but again, the schools that are run by women and administrated by women. Okay, hold on a second. The schools that are run by women a lot of female teachers in early childhood education, so they're trained to think like women, and they're also vilified as, all the boys are given Adderall, they're too active in class, they're demonized, their masculinity is being demonized in these schools. So they're already at a disadvantage, and yet they still
perform at the top of everything.
They still perform at the top, even though in school, by feminist standards, by pieces of paper, by the authority fallacy of a diploma, if you just go by diplomas, you go, oh, women are smarter. But if you go by real world experience and actual facts, men are way smarter. Even without a formal education, even in the shitty school system I went to, I'm still brighter than all my female teachers.
That's the funny thing about this guy. He thinks he's debunking this argument when his point here actually strengthened it. If men really are biased in the education system and they're still at the top, that's just even more of a testament to how bright they are in comparison to women. He thinks he's debunking our argument. He's strengthening it. That's what he's too dumb to see.
Well, back to the school system, like, when my high school, it was definitely geared towards girls, because there was, like, some of the dumbest girls managed to get good grades. It has nothing to do with intelligence, it's just regurgitation. And they do try to, like, for guys, if you want to move, you want to do stuff, they yelled at us for, like, throwing a ball around.
Oh,
that was not okay.
I'll tell you what, they separated our class, they put, the guys were acting up, I don't know what retarded lessons we were going over, and they vilified us by putting all the guys' desks on one side, and she just directed the class towards the girls. And the funny thing was, every now and then you have a girl who just asked the fucking stupidest question, and if you said anything about it or laughed or snickered, you would get scolded. Because there was always this underlying premise that, hey, don't make fun of women, she's trying to learn, or, hey, that's not nice to do. There was no emphasis on, she doesn't have the capacity, she's not that bright. It was always, don't be mean. Even the way women view the world in terms of mean and nice, that shows how stupid women are. Mean or nice, I mean, you can make the argument that if you scold me and give me a ticket for endangering people's lives by driving over the speed limit, you're mean. And if you give me my way and you're a sucker and you pay for my date and all my food and you don't get any sex, you're nice. I mean, think about that. It's not whether it's morally right or wrong. It's not whether it's correct or incorrect. It's not whether it's good or bad. It's, are you nice or mean to me?
And if you were to bring that up, whether it's good or bad, they'll say this. They'll say, well, you should respect other people's opinions, or why is it so black and white?
Why is it? I love that one. There's a common progressive term. Everything's complicated. Everything's gray. You can't say anything definitive.
Well, I mean, if everything's great and there's just different opinions, what's the point of learning anything? If there's no definitive right and wrong,
you couldn't even build this computer if everything was gray. You couldn't teach anything.
I talked to one girl on my college campus. She was so into, like, the whole moral relativity. She's like, yeah, everything's right in someone's mind.
Yeah, here's how you quickly end that delusion. You just stab her in the eye. And then she's like, wait, you're not allowed to do that. And like, that's my opinion. Don't be prejudiced against metal.
Like, if someone raped you, so that's right in their opinion? Yeah, it's right for them.
It's right for them.
I was just like, what the fuck are you on?
That's exactly why women are so rare in the hard sciences. Because when you're in hard sciences like engineering and chemistry, there are definite things you can do right or wrong, and there's no room for any other options. And women are not used to thinking like that because they don't have the capacity to think like that.
I want to take English, where everybody's an artist and every opinion is valid.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. Another humorous point I took away from the video is that you claim men are held back, but we did that one. You also get into discussing the pay gap with the guy that you are debating in this video. I don't consider it an injustice at all, and I think people are paid what they are worth. You seem to acknowledge it as a problem, though, because you make it analogous to a splinter. Oppression, but minor? What? And then cite male deaths in the workforce as something we ought to be more concerned about. You make it analogous to something in need of more immediate treatment, like an individual with an arm chopped off, major oppression. You later go on to point out male deaths in war and other activities, somehow for the sake of women. What? Somehow for the sake of women?
I think he's on the wrong site.
Somehow for the sake of women, as a further example of male oppression that we ought to be concerned about. So, the very fact that I got a card in the mail that said, guess what, fucker? You're signed up for selective service because you're a man. So you're required to perform in times of war if need be because you're a man. Is that equality? Why don't women receive that same card as me? I thought we were all about equality. You don't care about equality, you dumb faggot. Male destiny.
I mean, it just shows how fucking I think this guy really hates his own gender because he's getting that same conscription. Like, he has to sign up for the draft at 18. Whether he doesn't get a choice or not.
He's too dumb to even realize men work more hours. They work at all the dangerous jobs, all the demanding jobs, all the hard science jobs, Oh, those are all men. They require the most education, the most sacrifice. Sorry, it doesn't take a fucking education to become a blogger. Male deaths in the workforce are not oppression. Men choose to engage in whatever labor they choose.
This guy's so dumb. We weren't saying it was oppression. It was just that the debater we were arguing said women were oppressed because they're getting paid 70 cents on a dollar every man makes. The guy we were debating was making the argument of oppression. We were just responding by saying, okay, well, is the 98% workforce deaths oppression? He's actually thinking that we're trying to make a case for male oppression.
This guy's a dummy. Men choose to engage in whatever labor they choose. Knowledgeable of the risks, just as we are aware of the risks that we can operate cars. Okay.
But he's misconstruing the whole argument because we weren't the one who made the comparison of oppression. We were just using that.
Something that isn't there.
Yeah. We weren't saying it was oppression. We were using that as a counterpoint to somebody else. We were using somebody else's logic against them.
Death isn't an injustice, just a statistic. It doesn't matter. Basically, he's just saying all those deaths on the workforce doesn't matter. Riskier careers are...
Are you going to say, genocide's just a statistic?
Just a statistic, according to this guy. Riskier careers are pursued more by men than women. Okay, so then you shouldn't complain if men get paid more. No problem, right?
Yeah, higher paying careers are pursued more by men than women. Problem solved.
All right, there we go. Thanks, now we don't have to complain. Men don't necessarily die for women doing any of these things. Oh, they don't. They don't.
They die for themselves doing the work that they choose.
Is that why there's still so many faggot white knights paying for women's dates? Because they're doing it for themselves? No, they want to get that approval from women. Of course they're doing it for women.
How many guys have heard, you need to have a lot of money, you need to have nice clothes, nice house, a nice car. How many want money for that?
How many of these guys who are dying on the job are supporting fucking families? How about that?
It just, there was just something tweeted by, there was a statistic, it involved the rapes of both men and women, and somebody was posting something on their Twitter account, posting male and female rape victims, and Toronto police force was doing an investigation, and they tweeted that this person needed to remove the illegal items because it was affecting women. It was also affecting men, but they only mentioned women. I mean, the whole police force is full of white knights. The judicial system is full of white knights. Everybody is trying to protect women. I mean, look at all the campaigns on campus right now. Save a hoe, rape culture. We gotta stop rape culture, gotta stop sexual assault, gotta give women an advantage when they're already fucking graduating in higher numbers.
Hell, look at the no contact order I got last year.
No contact order.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, what?
I don't know, you sound like a rapist if you don't fucking explain that, you fucking crazy guy.
Okay, yeah, basically it was like, I tried to tell a girl I liked her, I'm an awkward guy, didn't go so well, her automatic thought is, well, I'm stalking her, I'm creepy, I'm a rapist, I get no say, the college is just totally focused, does she feel safe?
Does she feel safe? It's all based on how a woman feels about you.
They didn't give a damn that we lived on the same floor of the same dorm. What do you expect from a co-ed dorm and a co-ed floor? You expect me not to go, wow, that girl, she looks pretty cute over there. And we had so we couldn't be in the same room. We couldn't talk to our same friends. And the option they gave me was, well, if you want, you can move out. Then I can leave my friends, my roommates, and move all my stuff to a different dorm.
100 years ago, that would have been called wooing a girl. Today it's called stalking a girl.
Yep.
That just shows how dumb women are, because they're shooting themselves in the foot. They want relationships with guys, but yet they're legislating to undermine relationships. I mean, think of what a guy has to deal with legally when he thinks about sleeping with a girl, talking to a girl. I mean, so many guys want to approach a girl, and girls think, why doesn't that guy have the courage to just come up and ask me out? It's because we have holla back girl campaigns in New York where girls take pictures of guys hitting on them, thinking that's sexual assault if you show interest in a girl. I mean, what kind of message is a guy supposed to get from a campaign if you ask a girl out, you think she's cute, and she takes a picture of you and posts on her website, this is a sexual predator coming after me, because he showed interest in me. Meanwhile, girls are saying, guys are so timid now, why don't they go ask me out? Because you're legislating against the relationship, because you're too fucking stupid to be in charge of a relationship, and yet emasculated males, like this faggot we just debated, are trying to put you in charge. Ironic. Let's see, men don't necessarily... Last point, finally, to a fucking merciful end we're coming. You didn't dismiss the pay gap as not oppression. If one has a splinter, one would still want it removed. Are you, like a feminist, concerned about the pay gap? Oh.
This is another non-argument like the last one.
I hate his fucking faggot arguments. They're almost just like they're so open-ended. The questions are so open-ended. I wish it would just be specific like a male. He would learn how to be disciplined and specific in his reasoning. Not just throw up some like vague thought, not even a fully shaped argument. How do I even address this?
It's just so dumb because if he paid attention, he's either retarded or he didn't listen. Probably both, because we never said it was oppression. We were just somebody else was making the 70 cents in every dollar comparison that's oppression. We were like, okay, so we made a rhetorical counter question, is it 98% death suppression? And now he's taking that and saying like, okay, you said oppression about the 98%. That's your view. You think it's oppression. And he's applying that and trying to make his whole argument based on that.
Female
This
listening
guy
skills.
just sounds so dumb. Sometimes I wish he was just like purposely misconstruing it. Because people this dumb missing this much of an argument is just kind of scary. Because he's not like an
Like, how does this guy's going to be a future leader somewhere in a corporation, a politician, something.
Yep.
This is how you become a feminist. You're raised by women. You're not taught to think rationally. You're taught to think emotionally, according to how you feel. This is all just feminist ideology.
People wonder why there's so many political scandals nowadays, why politicians lie so much. Because they're fucking guys like this. They're raised by women. They're not taught to be accountable.
Okay, I can't take this guy. I'm going to sum up my feelings about this debate. It was total trash. I was in a rush to end it because this guy was so fucking stupid. Once a guy doesn't answer my challenges, I just get wary of the debate and I grow tired of it. And plus, I can try to bully an answer out of a guy who's a little more timid, but this guy is so... I hate stupid people who are convinced they're smart and can't possibly be reasoned with. They just become very cavalier and arrogant with their stupidity. So it's very difficult to even know how to approach these guys, how to debate them, what tactic to take. I can give a reasonable argument. If the guy's not going to answer the argument, there's nothing to debate. It's two guys standing on soapboxes giving speeches, and that's not a debate. That totally defeats the whole point of even contending with another person's expectation, contending with their challenge. If you're not going to contend with my challenge, then what's the point of even having the debate? You might as well just fucking go write a blog or go make a video and post it on YouTube. If you're not going to answer my challenge, you're too fucking cowardly to debate me. You're too dumb to debate me. And that was my feeling. I was tired of this guy very early on, and I wish he was hit by a car during the debate. I mean, even if acid rain or struck by lightning or I don't know, a falling piano hit him, I would have clapped. I was so disgusted by this guy. If I can, I use the term "guy" label very lightly. That's my take.
I mean, I'm just glad the debate didn't go 1 hour and 30 minutes because after the first 20 minutes, of hearing him talk, and he kept using the same feminist catchphrase like rape apologist. Oh, and he kept sensationalizing like the women had her ribs broken, and I was like, this guy doesn't.
That's how dumb women are. I mean, dumb. It's like I think of him as a woman in my mind. That's how dumb this feminist is. All they do is rely on emotional rhetoric. Their whole fucking shtick is to just demonize the messenger. If you're Hitler, you no longer have to be accountable to answering the message, to answering the challenge.
Yeah, he just kept saying, so you think it's okay for a guy to break a woman's ribs? Is that what you're saying?
You're a Satan. Yeah, you're Satan. Your argument's invalid.
That's the argument at all. So it was very grating listening to him, and I'm glad you stopped at 30 minutes to him because I did not want to listen to that for over an hour. I would kill myself.
If you're Satan, your argument's invalid. That's what he should have just said at the beginning. You're Satan, your argument's invalid. Then he could have just rested his case. It would have been just as well with me.
Yeah, I thought it was hard. I hated listening to him because besides the fact they didn't answer anything, it was just, you're mean. I mean, how many times are you going to talk about, like, one little issue? Her ribs were broken. When you're talking about a whole principle.
I addressed that right at the beginning. The rib issue, the brutality. I already addressed that, and that's the only thing he returned to.
Of course he didn't answer it.
Well, you said the brutality is going to happen if you don't solve what's causing the issue in the first place.
Yeah, I said even whether she gets a slap in the face, a light problem is created, or whether her head gets decapitated, which is obviously past rib breaking. I said either of those are irrelevant if you don't address the root cause. The problem won't be solved, so it doesn't matter if she just only gets a slap or her fucking head gets cut off. And all he could do was go back to, her ribs are breaking! Her ribs are breaking! Fucking idiot!
Yeah, I'm just happy it ended early, because I did not want to listen to that for over an hour.
And that's it. I gotta take a rape shower. I'm done. You guys, that's it. Thank you guys for...
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you guys for a brutally painful podcast. See you next time.